Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Everybody kind of knows what I'm doing. I don't know either, but it's wonderful. So nice to see you. This is the first. Traditionally, I'm the one who opens up the master classes, and then you have for the next 2 weeks really wonderful people. It's a joy to select from all over the world some people who can help and who are joyful in their teaching and giving wisdom. So without further ado, I know we are 5 minutes late. We'll do everybody justice. Okay, who's going first? Good. Thank you. Which sonata is this? Number 3, okay. The reason why I don't know even what I'm teaching is because this was done 2 months ago. And by that time, a lot of things happened. So give him a warm welcome. wonderful, really terrific playing. Well, in a way, I expected it. You're one of the few who are here, all the others, who were selected. And so it is, Andrew, it's a wonderful thing that what you're doing. You know, in a masterclass situation, everybody, I want you to listen to all the other guest artists giving masterclasses. Everybody has a different attitude how to pass on information. Mine is sort of a broad brush. There's no point in me pointing out you should use fourth finger there, and a few dynamic changes, but I'm trying to impress on you, perhaps, and the others, certain concepts, certain ideas that very importantly will affect your playing as you go along. You're very talented, so you will continue the piano. So it's not a question of just doing this now and that's it. One of the most important things that I can say to you is that your ears play the piano. I stress that so much that you wouldn't believe. What you hear is more important than what you do. Because what you hear, you are really reacting to what you want to play. But at the moment, I feel many, many times, you are playing, the fingers playing, and you afterwards react to it. Now, to give you an example, when you're playing this, let's say, now, would you answer, I'm just giving you the strategy, it's hard to start from there, but can you imagine you saying, it's a beautiful day today? But that's what you just said. Because the last note, is the finish. So, but what you did was a comfortable feeling of releasing your hand. But Beethoven wasn't involved in comfort, he wanted music. So every action, every choreography, you know what choreography? The way you're playing, like ballet, but in our sense, how we play the piano, results in a certain sound. And the certain sound you want comes from here, not here. This tells this what to do. Okay? So always remember that. Now, I always believe also strongly that there is a context. Why Beethoven wrote this piece? You have to kind of research that. In today's society, in today's world of modern internet, that's not a big deal. I had to go to the library and study if I wanted to find out. Two things that I really would like you to do. And that is, if you're interested in what happened to Beethoven in 1795, he was actually 25 years old when this was published, young, was very young. And so Beethoven was starting his life in Vienna. That's much like what many of the young people, when they finish their degrees or anything like that, they go to London, Vienna, New York, starting a new life. How are you going to eat? How are you going to get bread? How are you going to make a living? Sure, he was teaching a little bit, but he had to make, in those times, a real impact on the nobility, the rich people who have sort of gatherings in their sort of palaces, and to invite Beethoven became a really important thing. Why? Because he did many, many things in his sonata that was never done before. And he had a hair, and he was an oddity, and he never dressed properly like a nobility, but that's okay, he was like what himself. And so he had to produce pieces that were different and were eye-openers, and people were interested, you know. And so it's just like if somebody today would go to Carnegie Hall and play all the Chopin etudes on one night, but fantastically. Immediately everybody's buzzing around. We must have him playing in Seattle. We must have him here. Yeah. It's the same thing that happened to Beethoven. He had to carve out a living. He was by himself at the age of 21, 22. So this sonata was unique. In fact, we know that he went up, and you can do that too in one of these days, which I sometimes do, very close to where Haydn lived, and he went to the maestro and asked his opinion about the three sonatas, Opus 2, number 3. And it was given, you know, it was dedicated to Haydn. So here is Beethoven, young Beethoven, going to the most famous composer of the day. And Haydn said, oh, these are awful. Don't do this. This is nothing to do with what we are composing. It was so much different, so new. It's like you can do everything on the computer. I have no idea. And I would say, oh, get out of here. I just don't want to know about that. And Haydn was, at first, but Haydn was very smart. He learned a lot from Mozart and Beethoven, we should say. So there's certain things that Beethoven did that was never done before. These octaves. Yes, Clementi did them a little bit, but not so much. The second thing I would like to implore everybody who is playing Beethoven, every composer has a strength that we have to learn where their heart and everything goes into. Of course, it goes to the sonatas, but promise me that when you go home, even if it's on the YouTube or whatever it is you're going to do, listen to a few symphonies. Because there's very little difference between the mind of Beethoven, who was already composing some of the string quartets. Do you know what a string quartet is? 4 people playing. 2 violin, first and second, viola and cello. They sit around. In my young days, it was fashionable to go to a string quartet recital. I loved it. Many of them played all the Beethoven in a series, many of Beethoven's string quartets. The very famous Brahms and Bartók quartets. That was the fashion, and we used to go. Listen to some of them, because there's no such thing as Beethoven just writing for piano or just writing for string quartet. He was writing everything at the same time. You know, he didn't spend all these hours on this. He was already thinking about how this. So his mind was full of all sounds, and he channeled the sounds to piano, sometimes to symphonies. But here are some symphonic sounds that he inadvertently, or he really managed it. So very important background information to everything you do, whether you're playing Schumann or Liszt, Prokofiev, research it a little bit. It doesn't matter how much you do, at least you know when it was written, why it was written perhaps. You are interested, aren't you? You are going into the human being's mind. That's our job. We go behind him. Now, so for instance, when he goes here, this part, and this part. That's a full orchestra. All of a sudden, it's bang. Until then, it's all piano. And that you have to understand that you just have the feeling. Now, you did kind of okay, a little bit louder, but this double forte from a piano to Beethoven, he wanted to shock the people. Can you imagine those people with the wigs sitting there and suddenly, going like that? Well, yes. The shock of it is very important in many ways to be re-invited. Did he really do that? You know, he did. He wants to do this. Okay. So several things that you have to take into consideration when you're performing classical music. This is classical style. And that is something that we have to understand. It's a language. And a language you learn as opposed to the language of the Romantics or the Baroques or contemporary music. That's our job. And if you don't speak the language and you just say the words, people don't understand it. So in the classical music, when you have 4/4, there's a hierarchy. You know what a hierarchy is? The most important one is the first beat. Very important. The next important one is the third beat. And then comes second and the fourth. The fourth is always upwards, and the first is always downwards. Now, this little invention or little theme that he has, if you look carefully on your music, it is the 4 notes are joined together. Yes? It's not 5 notes. You're playing 5 notes. You see, that's 5 notes. But between the 4th note of the 16th note and the 1st note. Now, that's very difficult to do on our piano, but on his piano that was much, much, much easier to do because it was much lighter. But we have to endeavor not to accent the 3rd beat. It's not. You see? You understand? So it should be dee, da, 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 da. You want to try that? It's very difficult. Yes, it's a down. Yeah, it's very difficult. Do as best you can on our pianos, but whatever you do, don't go. That's a no. But you have to hide the fact that on our piano, it's very difficult because of the maneuverability, and it's much, much heavier than on Beethoven's piano. But that's the case, is the first beat, and it is very important not to go, because that's the second beat. You don't accent the second beat. So these are just simple things that our language demands. There are several others, but I want to draw your attention to that. So let's try it again. One other thing. And this also goes for Mozart, I say it every time I meet somebody playing Mozart sonatas, Haydn, or Beethoven. This was the time when Beethoven was early Beethoven, and Haydn and Mozart, the beginning of the piano. They were still playing on a pianoforte. Yes, this thing was 50 years away. Yes, it's a long time, but it developed as time goes on. And so you have to understand that what they did not know how, they didn't have a background on which to build. It was brand new. How do you write for something brand new? They had to find out something that possibly was already there, and they could develop into something new. Do you follow? It's a normal thing to do. What was there for them to understand was the string players. Strings, by the time of Beethoven, was developed to its highest level. It was if today you buy an instrument that was manufactured before Beethoven or handmade, cost millions of dollars, because it was the top of the line. The Stradivarius or Guarneri violins were already there, and people played. Of course, playing developed, there's no question, but it was already there. People wrote symphonies, people wrote string quartets. So what Beethoven did was rely on the fact that, oh, I got a template, you know what a template is, something there already, let me do it for the piano as well. Well, this is a string quartet, cello, viola, second violin, first violin. Especially here, the cello player. That's a cello. So all of this is a string quartet at the beginning. Do you want to try? So when you approach the piano, it should never be, but that's the piano. I want a cello. Yes. Good. Yes, the bowing, da, 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 and then da, da, da. You see? That's how it's written. Again, the bowing demands dee, dee, da, dum, da, dee, dum. So everything is bowing. Da, 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 ba, ba, da, cello. Thank you. Da, da, dum, dum, bum, ba, ba. So the full orchestra comes in. Yes, it is really the string players play bum pa da da bum pa da da bum pa pa pa. You can feel the large bow. So always to make sure that it is bowing. All right, and that's how he imagined it. It's string quartet. Now when you're not just have one note, but to me, this is French horns. Every note must be like a whole orchestra playing. Try with woodwind. it's not pa, 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 because that would be wrong. That would mean that you are accenting the wrong note. There's no accents there. He doesn't want it. Keep on going the second time. Pa. There's an accent there. Yes? You know, Beethoven, when you learn all the 32 sonatas, which you should, or know them, has specific instructions. He was very keen. He was one of the earliest composers who knew that his music will survive after he's no longer. Haydn was another one. Mozart didn't really know if his music will survive. He just wrote one. And Bach wrote the music to God. He did not know if it will survive. So Beethoven had specific instruction, allegro con brio. There are 3 or 4 sonatas like that. This is another one. Or the first concerto. Pam, 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 dum, pa, 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 pa. That's also con brio. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You need that, and he specifically wants the allegro to be with brilliance, to move ahead. You're a little bit behind. You're playing it safe. You know, so it needs to move ahead. Try. Good. And be careful. You don't want to accent the last note. Good. So it has to have the con brio, but that's something we get when we're studying it. It's hard to incorporate tempo. Now comes something which has never happened in the world of music. He puts the second subject, you understand what I mean by second subject? It's different to the first subject in the minor key. It wasn't supposed to be. So we are thinking he got lost. This idea of it's in G minor, should be in G major. Everybody expected it in G major. And here comes the truth that you have to understand. These were not written just on the spur of the moment. They were meant to be for a public, albeit very small public, in a not large concert hall by any means, that understood the nature of the sonata that he was writing in. And Beethoven, all the time, all the 32 sonatas, there is always something he does to wake the people up. Did something different. The expectation of major and minor, or different key, is understood to be written to surprise, to nudge the people into a different world, to accept him as a different personality. Today, you have played Bartók and Prokofiev. You don't really know how the impact of this was on the time. So here, later on, when you go, that's in G major. So he gets lost a little bit in the minor, and then he gets back into the major. Yes, which he has to. He has to do that, but first he shocks. Yes? So when you're playing, so, you have to sing that. You have to show the people that you are not making a mistake by going to the wrong key. Yes? So that has to be, and this is where it comes, the creativity of your mind, creativity. When you're playing this, I played it a little softer, a little bit kinder, a little bit singing, because I want it to be different to this. I want that to be more convincing, let's put it this way. I'm more dedicated to show people I'm not making a mistake. Listen to this, I've got something new to say. You understand? So don't be afraid, a little bit more. Try. Yeah, good. Andrew, those are big bows. And he puts an accent there. And look at what he does in your left hand. And the next one. Those harmonic changes are not usual for classical composers of Haydn and Mozart. He tricks them into hearing all the wonderful things. And yes? And then he goes to, what key is the next one? In D minor. And then you have to understand, why did he pick D minor? And I'm asking these questions to myself because the D minor is even more tragic, more dramatic. You know, Don Giovanni and all the D minor is always, to Beethoven, something like the Last Symphony. It's a special key to grab the attention of the people. So the first one is more kind. That's the G minor that he's thinking. It's more kinder, and then the D minor is a little bit more. So you have to react to that. I know you're young, I don't care. You have to really hear this, because then you are more Beethoven than just a young person. Can you try it again? And then the next thing, you stop and you say, and it's more dramatic because his hand is further away from each other. This one is closer than farther. So he is orchestrating more by being apart in this key in order to make it more dramatic. So it's up to you, even though it's repeated, but in a different key, to make it different. Try it once more. Good. Good, very good. Always, when you approach a piece of music, ask the question why he does this sort of thing. Even by asking the question why gives you a reason, and by the sheer fact of reasoning it out, it becomes your property. You are the one who's thinking about it, not copying somebody else's performance, but you're asking. And it's a good idea to say, a simple question asking your teacher, what does he do here just before he goes to the second subject, which you do so well? Well, he gets lost. He is in G minor, D minor, and he's supposed to be in G major. Now, this is very important to the listener of his day. Today, we just take it for granted. But he has to be in G major. So he's going away, he has to come back. So first he goes to A minor. So first in A minor, then G minor. And again, the color of G minor and A minor are two different worlds in his mind, maybe not ours. We are got used to it. But the first one is a little more, continues the tragedy of the D minor. Less. And we are in D major. And he even accents the notes. So he's now happy because he is in D, which is going to G major. So he found his way. Now, how does he do that? You see, we don't realize that Beethoven was one of the most important improvisers of the day. In those days, they give concerts by improvising. Today we don't do that. And to Beethoven, to improvise on the piano, he says, oh, I can get lost here and there, and he was experimenting. And when he experimented and something worked for him, he put it in his music. Not, you understand? It's like being in a laboratory and it works, and oh, we got something out of this one. But to play all of this the same way, it doesn't work, because you are struggling to get into the G major. He wants to get to that. That's his aim. And if you don't do that, it sounds the same. And he doesn't do anything different. He just puts forte there. But he expects us to realize the differentiation between the keys. And once you do that, not only in this sonata, every sonata, Mozart does it too. There are sometimes pages after pages, no dynamic changes. Does that mean that we stay on the same level? No. He is giving us the creativity to do something which we want to do. All right? I will leave it up to you to experiment. To me, that's practicing. Practicing to find out the difference between a little bit sadder, it's in the fingers, and maybe even less sad. And definitely here. Can you hear the differences? That's my aim. So every time I'm trying to become, I hate to say, Beethoven's idea of changing slightly the colors with my fingers. At this moment, the fingertips, you can play a little bit on the fat side of the finger, a little bit on the top. It changes the color on a good instrument. And I involve the audience. They say, oh, that's different, this is different, this is different. So that's the beauty of what you are creating. Then everything is interesting. This is very good what you played. So can you go? Can you see this is a violin, cello. Very good. You're playing that beautifully. I want you to play it again. Good. Now the cello. Violin, cello, surprise, orchestra. Yes, but if an orchestra doesn't play every note. A conductor goes, come on, play, play, play. You know, you're playing very beautifully the first one. Then you lay back. No, every note. Every note. And more. Okay, I don't think that's the card. I'm exaggerating. It has to have a melodic idea. Because if you play it so short, it sounds like a little chicken. It doesn't sound, it hasn't got the vibration of the piano. Yes, and it's forte, so. Make a statement. Beethoven going pom, pom, sorry, pom, pom, pom. Can't be more forthright and powerful. That's his nature. At this moment, he wants to impress that he is the king of piano, of music. Now comes a very difficult moment because bum, 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 you're accenting the second beat. It should be on the first beat. So the ornament is given the importance of the first beat. You understand? That's how it's written. bum bum dear. Try. Bum bum dear. Good. And bum bum. And and watch it. Yes, but even when you have, there should be something of a melody. There's a melody there. And I know we are hampered by the fact that, but somehow, we have to make a melody out of it. The curvature makes the melody. Okay, because of lack of time, he goes into the development section. This is, you understand, the development section. And it's an amazing thing because he has a whole passage that starts double forte and surprises with the double piano. And that's extremes. Yes? And you have to really try to do all of that. And it's kind of okay, but you have to do more. Because he wanted to make a statement again in public. This is a performance type of thing. But I will leave that to you. Can you play it from here? Because that has to be corrected. The accent is on the wrong beat, and he wants to do that. No. There's an accent on the fourth and on the second beat, which is unusual. No, down. It's a very, very interesting thing, and this will last for a long time. There's a wonderful book by Harold Schoenberg on the great conductors. And it goes all the way back to Lully and everything, and there's a wonderful passage about Beethoven. He was not liked as a conductor because people got confused. Whenever there was a sforzato, he would go down. And you know, a conductor should go da-da-da-da-dum, 1, 2, 3, ba-da-da-da-dum, 2, 3, 4. He would do that normally. But what he did was 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And everybody got confused. This is a downbeat. How can you do it on the fourth beat? But he wanted to, that's why people didn't like him. They couldn't follow him. But to him, music was music, and he had to do a downbeat. So, yes, da-da-da-da. Every second and fourth beat, he changes there. It's completely new. Never happened in music before. Bum, bum, good. Bum, ba, 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 2, 4, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2. Okay? And he wants to shock people, so that's something you have to do. And one other thing which he does, which he copies in a way, we have to stop, is a cadenza at the end. Now, Mozart did that too in his sonata in the Köchel 333. So it's not a brand new idea, but it's not a cadenza in the old-fashioned way of lengthening the passages. This idea that you understand what I mean by the cadenza. Actually, the cadenza starts from the surprise of. So he has this incredible surge of intensity here. But the cadenza, that reminds us so the cadenza has to be a little bit more improvised than anything else. So when you go, don't just play the note. See if you can improvise it as you go. Try it. It's a wonderful feeling. Start from here. Andrew, do you feel the tension? You do? Make me feel it too. Just there. Start from. Now. Now. More. Wait now. But you should, when you go to, you should say, you don't know what I'm going to do next. And then you have to surprise us. Do you remember our judge? We don't want to do that. Don't accent that note. Wait. See, this is also something never happened before. Suddenly, well, actually Bach in the Goldberg variation brings back the first theme. So it's not totally new. But the idea of finishing something which you started with is to remind us of the theme is new. Yes? But it's different here, isn't it? It goes immediately to something different. Go on, let's see if you can show us where it goes to. Be careful, be careful. That's why. You're doing this. If you accent, this is an accent, the next note must be softer in order to make the accent worthwhile. Now, it's just last thing. Beethoven, in his last 5-6 year period, he found it easier to write things down than because of his ear. It's a fallacy that he did hear, but it wasn't a conversation you could have. And in his conversation book, there's a wonderful passage which I hold on to all the time. He said when he has a series of sforzatos, you understand? When a sforzato is continuously going, he always meant it, he wrote, to get more and more and more. So when you go pum, pum, those sforzatos have to be more and more in order to get to double forte. So it's like a crescendo, the sforzatos. See if you can do it. It's much more exciting than just playing sforzatos. Bum, bum, more, more, bum, 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 bum. Surprise. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bum, 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 bum. Orchestra. Bravo. Think of the Berlin Philharmonic. And look what he does. He wasted a lot of ink by asking you not to move. There's a pause mark on the rest. I think the word rest is wrong. We don't rest while there is a rest. Silence. He wants you to pause on the silence. He wants this to be... If you listen to some of the wonderful performances of the Kleiber this year, I noticed there was a consistent effort on the part of every participant to make sure that when they finish something, they just don't immediately, or most pieces I'm talking, not every piece, they held their hands there and waited for silence. Because silence is very, very important at the end of something, before we start clapping. Many times we don't know what to do. Okay? Beautiful playing. Beautiful playing. I hope that I gave you a little bit more information that you can take with you, not just for the moment, but something you can think about. Don't forget to listen to Beethoven symphonies. Anyone, it doesn't matter, because he is orchestrating in his mind, which we have to orchestrate here. Okay? Thank you for playing. So let's go on, please. Next one. We started late. I can't see. Please go ahead. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Go ahead. Wonderful playing, truly. It's such a young person playing already so maturely. Congratulations. I hope this will stay open. It looks like a brand new score when I do it this way. You do so many things that are so wonderful. I have to pick on a few things that, again, my idea of a masterclass is not to have the impact for the moment and get you better immediately, because I like to put some seeds in your mind, perhaps, and then you go home and you think about it, which is generally what I believe the whole festival is about, whole PianoTexas is about. You are bombarded with so many ideas, you go to so many things, you listen to this music, listen to that, and then you'll be surprised when you go home and you start working on some of the pieces that you played, or new pieces. My ideas come to mind. It says, oh, maybe I could try it this way and that way. I think that's what it's all about. If, unfortunately, many, you can't pick every student's mind at the very beginning when they are selected. Many students come here to practice. If you don't, I can see that you know this piece, you feel it, and it's really wonderful what you do. So the few things that I'm going to try to say, well, I don't demand that you do it. On the contrary, I want to open a door. You walk through and you look around and say, I like this idea, I'm not sure about that, but let me try it out. So it's a question of trying. Music is live. Music is never static. You're going to play this piece in 5 years differently to what you do. I sometimes, unfortunately, I hear my own performances back and I say, oh, gosh, how could I have done that? And maturity is not necessarily good or bad, it is what it is. Now, I think that with Chopin, when he writes these humongous legato markings, they are not phrase markings. Don't misunderstand, a slur is never a phrase. A phrase is something that we say, and we have our own voices saying. It has nothing to do with how we say it. This legato playing is extraordinarily important at the very beginning. So that when you have as legato, I have a feeling many, many times you do this sort of thing. So it's not 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And, one of the things that when you get to a certain age, you get so much information in their mind that I don't know where I heard this from, but I know that it is true. Composers, majority of the time, think of a 6/8, that the first 3 out of the 6 is always moves ahead, and the last 3 is always holding back a little bit. So when you have this sort of thing, it's so imperceptible that great artists use that at first very much, and then they soften it down or tighten it up, so you don't even notice it, but there's some truth about it. Do you know? I know that in a 6/8 you have a 1, 2, it's in 2, of course, you play it well. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. And if you do this just by yourself at home, if you go down it's faster, and when you go up, you just lilt a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. It becomes so natural, so human, yes? And it's so imperceptible that nobody notices it. You notice it when you're practicing it for the first time, but then it becomes natural and it becomes very human. But it's not, definitely not, 1, 2, to me that's mechanical. right? So can we try it? One other thing is the beauty of this introduction and all the, you know, the first one has a long introduction. The second one doesn't have any introduction. That's an immediate. And the third one has a lot of, this is the ballades. But this is only a fraction. It just merges in there. I think. What you did, I'm asking you to perhaps revise your thoughts or perhaps experiment with it. But what you did was you stop. It's like the accompanist doesn't trust the singer to come in, so he says, okay, now. But I think it should be natural. But it's, of course, it's interpretation. And finish it. Do, do, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, okay, it's the same thing, and yet it is not the same thing. The beauty of Chopin, by the way, I have to say this because we just finished Beethoven. Beethoven as a youngster goes to Vienna and is a revolutionary, and everybody likes him. Chopin was very similar, believe it or not. One of the reasons he got stuck in Paris, he was actually on the way from Warsaw, second time around, to London. That's where he wanted to go. But he got stuck in Paris because he was celebrated in Paris. He says, well, if people like me here, I better stay here. But what happened was, an amazing thing happened, that he was tucked away in Warsaw, which was not the natural route for famous people to go to. Vienna was, Paris, London. Warsaw was stuck up there. And he didn't hear great pianists. He's never had a piano lesson in his life. And what he did as a youngster, much younger than you, he just played the piano and he said, oh, this is difficult. What am I going to do with this? And out of that came a amazingly pianistic attitude to music making. His music cannot be played, it does, but it is not played by the violins or orchestra, whereas Beethoven was very much all-arounder. His etude, Opus 10, is really the production of all the things that he was improvising at the piano. His concerts, by the way, Chopin's concerts were majority of the time, first part was his composition and second part was improvising on Polish airs. He was famous for that. And then he stopped that because he wanted his music to be heard. So the second time around, he becomes thicker in the harmonies. And you don't want to let that out because you're simply leaning on the melody, just slightly support it with this. It's painful. Here too. Now, I'm not asking you to bring it out like, listen everybody, that's a discord, but it's thicker, a tiny thicker. So the repetition is not superfluous, it's not for nothing. There is an aim to that. So can you do the repetition now so we don't have to go back? Yes, and this is the first time, you know, when you consider it, Chopin himself did not know if is this in F major? We say it's in F major, but it's really in A minor as well. And this is the first time he goes to the A minor. So it is important. Now, how do you make something more important than anything else? Either you yell it out or you withdraw from it, so people will say, let me hear it more. So you have to do some color change there. And especially when... Then he comes out because he goes to C major. It's so incredible. He gives us a taste of A minor, but he withdraws from it because he knows he does not know, or perhaps he knew, that eventually he will go to A minor as a principal key. Yes? Once it's implanted in our ears, it becomes familiar, whether you like it or not. And Haydn does that in his symphony too. It's a wonderful tool for composition. So, and then a little bit more open, because C major is more open. Do the A minor again. Sad. Now open it up. Now double piano. Next. Yes, it's very interesting, very, very beautiful if you can put it into context. He opens the door into C major, and then suddenly says, I'm going to continue with the C major, but in a different line. Double piano. That's the only time he writes double piano there, as a reminder this is still soft. But why? Because he does not want the C major to be overwhelming, which you just did. You follow? And composer, and that's why I'm asked Andrew just before you, ask why. And any answer is correct. There's no such thing as you are wrong, he's wrong. You have to, and then suddenly you say, oh, C major. C major has, it's like all of us, have two types of feelings. And this is more ethereal, somewhere in the air, that the mind, the major there. Continue. 1, 2, 1, 2. And now we goes back to F major, and this is home. Then you can play. Yes, go on. Good. Surprise coming up, not yet. Here. Good. Continue. It becomes more. And even worse. And he says, once more, please. Oh, that's interesting. Your room is tidy all the time at home? I'm asking, joking, but I'm asking. Come on, be honest. No. And your mother comes and says, would you mind putting your shoes away? And you don't. What does she do the second time? Does she say, would you mind putting your shoes away? No. That's why I don't think so. He's surprising us. I would emphasize the surprise. Sort of make it, it's a different way of saying it. But that's me. And that's something which I noticed a lot of people do, which is, I don't know, I want to brag about where I learned it from. It doesn't matter. The truth is, classical music, classical period, everybody makes the second time softer. It was never done. That something was superimposed 100 years later to make it interesting. To me, it's more interesting when I say it twice more to emphasize the beauty of it. Why does a composer write something twice? Not to hide it, but to say, this is beautiful, I want to repeat it again. But that's an individual thing. So, and when you do the second time more, then you have this, then you have enough time to move away from it. But if you are already so soft, you can't, as it says, smorzato, which means to die away. Okay? Well, now, let's go on to the fuoco. This is so incredible. You simply play. There's so many things inside that you have to really notice. First of all, you are limited how loud this can be. Because it's legato. We have to cheat because there's no way to do that legato, and it is pedaled, but you can't go either. So there is a compromise there, yes? So, and he wants it. Da, 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 da. Can you try that, first of all? Nil legato, just the left hand. Not dragging, it's just that I'm not going to go. But da, 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 I want to go there. Yeah, so it can't be that loud, because when you're playing it, that's what I heard. I think that this is just as important. The next one is even more incredible. We are in 6/8, and the left hand is in 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's in triplets, or 3 notes. You understand? It's not, I can't do it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Would you agree with that? Yes? Then the left hand, the right hand, is in 2s. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's in 6/8, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the left hand is in 4, right hand is in 6. Chaos. That's when you got the fuoco. If you can go, not how fast you play, but you're confusing us. That's how you get the fuoco. Not just playing. That, I don't think that you played it like that, but you understand? The important thing is that he uses a device to make us feel uncomfortable. That's the fire. And it's very difficult to do, but it's done. That's how it's written. Pum, 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 pum. Yes? Try it again. Yes. And then when you play it, that goes into a different world. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It goes into 3/4. The right hand and the left hand in 6/8. 1, 2. It becomes 1, 2, 3. So he changes the time signature inside the 6/8 to such an extent that it creates havoc. If you do it well, then it's not how fast you play. Of course, you have to play it fast, which you do well, but the fire is burning inside and not just by playing fast. Yes? Well, so when you go, we can say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's actually 2 measures of 4. Once more, and then we go on, if you don't mind. Well, you can do the second one. Oh, yeah. If you want to go to the next page. If you can. Yeah. Actually, can you do the ending of that? Because this I don't hear when you play. There's a melody there. But no, I wouldn't pedal there. You know, inside. Yes. This is excellent because I can hear the progression. but I wonder if you feel it inside, the intensity of the da, 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 da. It's intense, and it is and it gets to the top. Now, one thing you do is you very beautifully play da, 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 but immediately you play that, dum, da, da, you lose interest. Or you make us lose interest. But that is diminuendo there. Diminuendo means what? Loud to soft, not soft. Yes? So all of this, dum, da, da, is the legato. Da, 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 da. You see, it takes gradual time. You got something like 10, 15 measures to get to soft. That's the performance level that you have. You're playing everything, but even when you get to the level of even that is the continuation of getting softer. Yes? So because of lack of time, can we go into the middle section, please? When you go like there, please. So you have to devise a thought of what, and this one, every one of them has a different level of intensity. So it's not just the same thing. Yes? There is a huge difference between, or this one, and it's up to you. You want to make it more or less or more colorful, or but what it wants more like. He wants a longer line than anything. It's not just small little places. All right? Try it again from. And now. Nice. We have to really do a little bit what he says, because there's a crescendo there. So don't start so loud. And the same thing, the actual melody is in the left hand. So that everything is a crescendo, opens up much more than just loud. Because, and again, you have to say the dim. That loudness is not here. You have to pick your loud area. This is loud. It says forte, double forte, but it's not as loud as the con fuoco, because it's in the middle of a lyrical passage. So it's lyrically loud. Does it make sense to you? So it's not like a sudden. Now, can you play it again? And he gives us an incredible difficulty, because all of this. He puts a legato mark. You can't do it legato. It's too much to ask. But he doesn't want it to be. He doesn't want that at all. So any way you like, but. So you feel that lyrically, you can play very loud. Lyrically is different from the con fuoco, which is powerful. And I think that's very important, because this whole middle section is very lyrical and dwells on different color changes. I think you understand that when you go to it becomes more. And then you have to understand the first time and the second time it happens, it's different again. He uses different colors because otherwise it's just a sheer repetition. And the color that you it's in your ears, and that's very important. But this is a repeat, and then how do you get into the confuco? It's very important because this double forte, when he goes like, it has to be different to the one double forte before, which was, this one. That's more achieving. This one heads towards something. The other one finishes something. Does it make sense to you? And that question or that reasoning makes you different to anybody else. It's your way of doing it. Can you lead somewhere from there, if you don't mind, and then go on? Very good. I like what you do here because even though it's sempre forte, this becomes not so important as not overwhelming, which you do well. But I do want you to feel this idea of which is very important because that E, you know where I am up to? Yes, in your left hand. That E, harmonically, he does that all the time, so he can go to the coda, which is in A minor. Yes? So that E implants in our ears a very important pedal point. And you can achieve that by saying, as you go down to da, 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 and separate it. That's the melody. Here's the pedal point. You understand? And it again. Yes? So the E is a separation. It's not part of the melody. It is, and how you play it, I know it says sforzato, but the basic is just give us that feeling. Underneath. Somehow it comes from underneath to merge us into the A minor. Yes? Can you do it again from here, Pab? Very good. And so have you played the left hand alone of this? You see, you're getting used to something which is kind of natural. Using that as a jumping point, da, da, but it is really ti, da, da, da. Yes? If nothing else, you in your own home sing it once and you will never ti, da, da, da. You would never do that, but it's getting that way. Yes? Be very careful. Okay, then I'm not terribly certain if there should be... On the contrary. Again, you're using a physical attribute, a physical reaction to the trills. But the physicalness is really that you're doing nothing more than waiting, making it even more tension to resolve to the A. Yes? So the more you accent it when between here, then then you resolve it. Yes, I think it's very important. Now, you do something which I'm a little bit opposed to. You're using technique, and Chopin would be, in a way, I think, horrified to know that you're using the technique to get over his difficulty, which of course you do to a certain extent. Where does it say to change the tempo? Because you went much faster. I mean, much, much faster. And I admire that you played it that fast. So you got my admiration. But tempo does not make the piece. What does it say there? Agitato. Agitato is not a speed, it is a character. And you know, ba 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 bum ba 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 bum, da 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 da. That to me is agitated. It drives the soul into chaos more than fast. When you're playing it fast and you can't hear the note, you know, all the time when you go da 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 da, every one of them is a discord. Nothing is meant to please you or your soul. Every chord, every note has a nature of agitation more. And if you can't hear that, then you can't. Or in the next section, when you go, if you individually note, you will find that there's not an ounce of pleasure in this. It's agitation. If you can't hear it, it's superfluous. It doesn't mean anything. Try it a little bit slower and boom. The idea of phrasing here here it's much more tragic than you also. And the left hand is amazingly constructed because it goes wham, pa-dum, 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 pa-dum. These tearful moments that Bach and Mozart and Beethoven use, and here he does this ti-da, ta-da, ta-da. That never comes out unless you put it in there. He's not playing it out, but it's part of the whole tragedy as such. Can you go from the pa 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 somewhere there, or somewhere, it doesn't matter. Da, 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 da. Where's the melody there? Because we have melodies all over, but here, where is the melody? Yes, but also the right hand. It's not, but the underneath, the chords are above. So it's screaming. Good, very good. Even the left hand changes the first time. The second time it goes. So you have to take a little time or show us that the second time is even more tragic. Yes? And then, when you play what are you waiting for? See, it's an interesting thing if you have a look at the autograph. At this moment, he has a whole page of other things to say. And actually, it was Schumann, who's dedicated to, said, cut. You said it. No, really. And he said, you have to cut it and finish it off, because the tragedy cannot be carried on further. That's the ultimate of ultimate tragedies. And if you do it in time, it will work. In time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It is the tragedy that brings back a certain memory, and then it's finished. If you do exactly as it's written, it's more powerful than all the things you might add. Try it just once, and then we have to stop from there. 2 measures before, if you can. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. What? In time. From through to 1, 2, 3. But again, he puts a slur above that. So it's so dum, dum, bum, bum. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. Believe me, I think that's the ultimate. Anything you do after that is just, I can't imagine. It hasn't got the power of releasing all the tension you had, but releasing it with a lot of question mark. There is, as an ending, most of the ballades, or all of the ballades, have in common 6-3-8 or 6-8 or 6-4, and most of the ballades were supposedly created as a result of this monthly meeting with his Polish compatriots in Paris, where some people got up and sang national songs, or Minkiewicz was one of the most important writers of poetry and Polish poet, and Chopin played the piano. And many times we believe, although Chopin would disown this type of feeling, that there is a story behind it. But there is a story behind this that most people accept, of Russian invading Poland and going to a town where the men are away fighting and only women and children are there. And instead of giving themselves up for the advancing sort of invaders, they commit suicide. And that's, the beginning is like the cemetery with grass and peace. And that's how it's possible. I'm not saying that it isn't, but you will read about it. But whatever it is, it's your story, that if all the ballades have your own story, and it should be like that. But the ending has to be abrupt, like life is, to a certain extent, just gone. Beautifully played. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I know that we should have a break, but for those people who want to have a break, fine, but I need to go on, please, because we have to finish at a certain time. So let's go on, please. I don't know who's the next person. I'm here. Congratulations. All the three of you have played extremely well. And it's very high level and very clear that you have a wonderful teacher. Because at this stage in your life, teaching is very important. You're learning the trade, and the trade, I mean the profession of music, and so it's very, very important. What you don't have at the moment, you will get later. How many sonatas have you learned? Beethoven? Two. Wow, this is the third. Good, but you know how many you still have left? And the thing about Beethoven sonatas is that each has its aura, its character, its being. And the more you play them and the more you sort of make decisions what this is or that is and this, the more you decide this guy has an infinite amount of world of characters within him. This sonata, or any sonata, is not created on its own as an entity. It is somehow, as he lived through, he went into different modes of feelings. And he has the ability that few of us have to put it on paper. Yes? This is what we call the middle period. Again, musicologists have a field day on Beethoven because they kind of been able to do early period, middle period, and late period. And that's of course true. I'm not saying that it's wrong. But I do think that there are certain elements in the early period which happens to be also in the late period. A person doesn't completely change just because he gets older. But this sonata, which we're concentrating on today, is one of the last sonatas where it is in 4 movements. Yes? It is the last sonata which has a minuet as the second or third movements. And it is one of the way of somebody who's matured. You know, he's 30 years old, which is a maturing age for him because he only lived, you know, for not that long as we do today. He has many sides, and he feels this is one of the most humorous sonatas you can possibly have. And humor has different way of dealing with us, the recipient of the humor. Yes? Humor can be something of cheating us into thinking something else happens, and then he goes a completely different way. Or he invites us into a beautiful melody, which he kind of dismisses with a little cadenza. Whereas Schubert and Mozart would develop it and go to town. Beethoven says, oh, for now I don't mind you just listening to a snippet of it. Yes? And there's so many different ways of creating surprises, complete surprises, because surprise have 2 things to do, tragedy and comedy. What I mean by that is that the road that he takes sometimes is not tragic, but says, I was just kidding, I'm going that way. And then you can take it differently, or you can say, oh, I didn't expect that, or take it, oh, that's I like that type of, you know what I mean, the reaction. You play beautifully, absolutely beautifully, and all the others too. Yet I don't find the humor in your playing. You're too serious, you know, and rightly so, because you take every note seriously, and every note has a quarter note and an eighth note, and everything is fine, and you do all the things right, but you have to search when you're practicing, how can I make this into something behind the notes, what it could mean. And again I say that in absolute earnest, that individuality, which last night when we had our little conversation, it was brought up the fact that why is it that today, when we put the radio on, which we hardly do, but when we put a record on, which we hardly do, or some music on, and without knowing who it is, immediately there is, that must be Rubinstein. He was playing the same key as we do, and what was it that his personality was so incredibly there? Is it in the harmonies? Is it in the way he played? What was it that we can immediately sense this is Martha Argerich or Horowitz? These are names I'm dropping, but this is the truth. If you can't recognize a Zimmermann playing Chopin, then you haven't listened to anything. The stamp of his being is there. And that's why you want to listen to it. You're not only listening to Chopin, but the interpretation of this person who you believe won your heart over. And that is your job as you mature, to find your own voice. Yes? Not just playing the notes. And how do you do that? Well, it's quite simply questioning. Because the reasoning you come up with, a certain reason why this is happening, you're already reasoning it your way, not his way or her way. And that is a very important moment in your life. I know you're very young, but still it's important because up till now you've been told what to do. Then you start to ask questions, and then you're starting to get the answers from within yourself. Of course, you can say to your dear teacher, what do you think about this? Or what do you think if my thoughts are not in the right direction? And they might tell you, no, I wouldn't do that. And then comes that moment when you say, but you know what? I really feel this way. I can't let go. I'm sure you have had that already in a slight way, no? Yes. And that is what you are after. Because you play the piano, all of the two other students who have already played, there is a conviction in their playing, in your playing, that demands more and more questions on your part, why? So Beethoven is totally lost at the beginning. Nobody starts anything like that. Yes? We don't know what he is. Where is he going? And that's part of the middle periods. Every musicologist say that's the interesting thing about the middle period. That it takes him a while to settle into the key of where he wants to go. Where does this come from? It comes from, in actual fact, improvising. Do you improvise by any chance? Well, you know what? I don't either. I wish I would. You know, getting lost, I have several students who just start playing and they can get lost to a different key. And I said, where are you up to? I said, I don't know, but I will get back if you like. You know, and it's so interesting because they can do it. And if you said you want a little jazziness, and they put a little jazziness in. Yeah, I can't do that. I wish I could. And the spontaneous reaction to what is happening and what will happen and what you're doing at that moment. So the idea, that is a surprise. The crescendo only starts from there. It's not. That to me is conviction that I'm going the right direction, but I don't know, I'm lost. And then even more lost. And this has a feeling that I must lead somewhere. So the first chord is, oh my gosh, what's happening? The other one, I better get out of here. Yes? I'm making it up. But if you don't have something to lean on, then
you're lost. There's nothing happening. You're simply playing. But that should be a surprise. And that 6/4 chord, because it's an E-flat 6/4 chord, should be awakening to you say, now I know where I'm up to, and then you confirm it. You confirm it. And the second time is really confirmation that I'm lost, but this time you have to play it differently. I know where I'm going now. You follow what I'm saying? So the first time it's a hesitation. And the second time, I'm just giving you my feelings. I'm probably, if I would practice it tomorrow, I would have a different idea. Perhaps. That's the beauty of music, which is live. I don't know. Try it. Try to make up a story for yourself. One thing I must tell you, you have to play it in tempo. Because this, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I know that's pedantic for me to say. After all, we are talking about much higher level of musicianship, but you have to establish the tempo. Otherwise, this, when you play, we don't know if we're making a ritardando or we're making a or accelerando unless we know one tempo. So he's very wise. He gives us 2 beats, 2 measures in tempo, and then you do something with it. Yes? I wouldn't play that loud, honestly. Well, you're playing on a concert grand. What instrument plays this? Choose. For God's sake, don't say timpani. No. What do you think? Have you ever thought about it? Yes, these are violinists. Strings. Not woodwinds. It hasn't got power, but it has. Now, do you want it darker? You can do it darker. And maybe the second time, do that. You can do millions of things you can do with the I call them voicing of chords. But I don't think that too quickly out of the, no, you still don't know where you're going. Once more, and then with, yeah, from there. One of the things that you do is you play, then you say, I better go up here and play it. See if you can connect in your ears that level, and see if you can sing it inside. So it's a continuum. Of course, to go from here to here is like the conductor who goes to the violins and then he goes to the woodwinds. There is a movement, yes, as you move up. But in your ears, there is a connection. Otherwise, you lose, then everything becomes two measures, which is inadvertently what you're doing. So can you do this? and here we hope. So the tempo is 1, 2, 3. I like that very much. And he establishes the tempo, which could be at this moment not so secure, but yeah, pop, 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 1, 2, 3. That's the bassoon is playing there. But then there's a French horn. Yes? Perhaps you will say, no, I'd like to hear the clarinet go. And perhaps the second time, French horn. A little more. And that's why I said to Andrew at the very beginning also, if you don't listen to Beethoven's symphonies, you're lost. Because this could be a symphony with 10 hands, 10 fingers. Yes? And it's up to you to do it. And when you... This certainly would be a flute. And this could be violin. I really think that it's advisable to do that, otherwise you will be, your imagination sticks to the sound of the piano. And nobody can tell me that this is the flute, but I try to make it into a flute. Yes? It's certainly not a trumpet. Yes? And that's the beauty of it. So can we do it again? Yes. So the melody ti-dom, pa-do, pa-pa-pa, is so simple. So and that's a fifth and sixth and a seventh. So he deals with not so much as harmony, because everything is based on the pedal point, but he deals with intervals. So when you go ti-da-dum, ti-da-dum, you should, if you don't feel that to be larger, this, I feel that. I really do feel that that's a longer jump. And even more here. Now, I don't yell to people, now listen to this incredible thing. 5, 6, 7. What a compositional technique he uses. But I try to enunciate it so that it's interesting. Yes? I don't think it's humorous, but it's more interesting than, you know. It's different, yes? So don't shy away from... Try it. And... Yes. Now, again, I come from the idea of, be careful not. So he changes from non-legato type of legato playing to staccato. That in itself is quite humorous, you must admit. Yes? And it lends there. Eventually it becomes the second movement. This idea of pop, 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 pop. But the interesting thing about it is, again, the pure simplicity that he uses, because humor in many ways is simple. It cannot be complex, because if it's complex, we don't understand it. The idea of to increase the value of more legato and staccato, do a little bit more, it makes it more apparent, more simple and yet apparent. You're too serious. Then you continue. then suddenly more romantic, a different world, sudden. And that you're selling the differences on a higher level, because humor is what it is. If you are subtle, it doesn't work. Yes? Can you do it again? Now that's a joke. After all, isn't that a surprise? It's a minor, yes? How that it should be it. Yet somehow, who is going to react to it? You have to react to it. I didn't expect that. You know, it's a surprise. Now, if you just go, nothing happens. But if somebody taps you on the shoulder and you look there and nobody's there, and then suddenly you look at your friend is having a joke on you, then do you follow what I'm saying? You react to it. And you have to react. Sorry. See if you can try. Because that crescendo is an expectation. Come on, something's going to happen, and there's, oh, you're in the minor. Well, try. So what is the reason why you go? Why does it do it twice? Develop the sound, correct, but you have to have the imagination. To me, this is much more strings. Strings. So I keep close, and this I think is woodwind. Then suddenly, boy, isn't that a shock? Never expected it. The more beautifully play that, this, it becomes more surprise. Yes, once more. Strings. Try. 2, 3. Even softer. I take my time to go from how, you know, that is something I think it's, you know, when you are a child and you go on the piano, everybody thinks, oh, isn't that nice and everything like that. But it's childish in a way. Tim, bum, 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 bum. And then he says, wait. I've been waiting to show you a beautiful melody. For Beethoven, that's pretty difficult to do because he's always little snippets. For Mozart and Schubert, they take melody out of their elbows every moment when they feel like it. Beethoven had a rough time making melodies. But again, the surprises from piano, celebrating. So what a big surprise, don't you think? Try again. Bum, 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 bum. No, don't put it together. You're finished. Even the surprise of not continuing. What's going to happen next? Even you smiling. Bum, 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 bum. beautiful you play, the worse it gets. I tell you why. You have to sing it. You have to make it something quite ingeniously new, and something that you're convinced this will win the hearts of everybody. But if you play, yes, try it, sing, like Beethoven would. Even more. I would do that much softer. Like you are making it up. I don't think that he wanted all of that in time. It's a cadenza, yes? Make it. It's not as important as the melody, so don't make it more important. Yes. So out of this beautiful melody, he makes a scale. Again, the simplicity is the funny part about it. Why a scale out of this? He's singing his heart out suddenly. Yes? You have to make it into something different sound. It doesn't put forte or piano, new idea, but it something different. This is more singing. This is, yes, a different sound. Try. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Yes, then he says to himself, but this is too simple. I'm going to make it a little bit more interesting, because this is harmony, yes? So, and then he goes again, then listen to the harmony. Become serious. And if you know comedy, you have to become serious in order to bring comedy out of it, which is, it's what's happening here. This is the comic relief. You know, we have the So again, looking at it from all the different angles, the different activities, you have to magnify it. If you do minor, major, major, yes? That's why he does that. It becomes more serious. Become more serious. Try it, and you have to act it out. Sorry, there's no way you're going to do this. Nobody can hear it. It's not a staccato, number one. Number two, you need the note comes first and the harmony after. So you don't want to play it so staccato, because that it hasn't got the aura of gripping the ears to resolve the right hand or merge with the right hand. Once more. Second time. Bum, 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 bum. Good. I liked it very much because the serious, and then suddenly. Can you hear how, I don't want to say funny, but it is a release of the tension altogether. Releasing, musically speaking, because here you change all the harmonies so much, and then you got for 4 measures on the same harmony. Nothing happens. And it's the attitude that counts. You did beautifully. You resolved me. Okay. And it's constantly the same. And then he changes. Again, if you don't find that to be not comical, but it's interesting, let's put it this way, how he goes. Okay, so go from him. Forte. Take time. And then. So you have to take time. If you go. It's not so powerful. Keep on going, please. Like the beginning. Now, this is thicker. Surprise. Even more. Bum, 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 bum. Yes, and this chord has one of the most interesting thing is a tritone. So he lands on the tritone, and he does all the tritone. That's not the one. Yes? So it is one of the things that can be called tragic, but I think it's the funniest thing in the world. And then he continues like that. And then he goes in, and then the very last thing he does, where does that come from? It's like somebody going like that to you. I'm sorry, but we have to somehow conclude. I think the development section, only thing in the development section that you could do a little bit better or not so. Don't do it. But you did very well. Again, that to me is very comical in a way, how it's like a clown in many ways, going different actions. The last thing I do want to do is the coda, which is so ingenious, before we have to stop, and that is when you go ti do, tori do, do, do. He lands in the wrong key. In you know, he goes to A flat. He really doesn't want to go to A flat, so he has to maneuver himself for about 6 or 7 measures to get out of it. Yes, ti do, 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 do. Go from there, please. Yeah, somehow you have to connect the feeling of even sorry, wrong note. All of these connected. Even though there is a rest there, it continues. He's trying to find his way out. He still doesn't know it still doesn't know where he's going. And that's the first time he says, oh, I know where I am. So if you feel lost, then you're making it really, truly a great performance. But if you just continue as if nothing happened, then you're not giving us the truth. Can you go pa 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 da 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 pa da? Any way you like. Yes. Da 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 da. Oh. And last time. 1, 2, 1, and let's finish. Go on, not now, but you have to finish. He had enough. Yeah, some people play it, and some people do what you do. We don't know. The autograph is different. Well done. I hope that you got some idea of the character. Well done. Thank you. I do know that all of you have a recital at 1 o'clock. We have our teachers and amateurs starting their big competition at 1. So I will do about 40 minutes, 45 minutes with the next person. But then if you have to leave, you have to leave for lunch or whatever it is. That's unfortunately how compact the whole festival is. So the next person, please.
Well, it's quite a wonderful group of people I blindly chose to lead this first masterclass. Well done, wonderful. Carl, what is a paraphrase? Yeah, what is a paraphrase?
Well, a paraphrase is like changing something that someone else wrote into your own words.
Well, a paraphrase is, yes, it's not changing. It is your feeling about something, and you sort of quote some part of it, and you make a point in your way. What was the reason for all these things? Because he wrote paraphrases, he wrote also transcriptions of, Tannhäuser and everything. So there are different ways that Liszt was writing these pieces. What was the reason for all this? From operas?
From opera? He wanted to express it into his own words, and into the way that he wants it to be.
No, he didn't change into his words, no. The point is that Liszt was on tour so much of his life. And he went to places where there was no such thing as an opera. But he loved much of Verdi and Wagner and Donizetti, all these people, and he felt he was one of the great composers that brought Schubert back, or Berlioz. He championed other people more than he championed himself, to many ways. And he wanted people to hear this, even without the opera. So he says, I give you a little snippets here and there to show you what an incredible this piece is, or this story, or this opera is. So he was like a shorter version of enticement or advertisement, if you like. But I mean, there were very few opera houses in those times when Liszt was living. And it is a genius way of writing these things so that people heard it for the first time. And so it is very important to know the story behind it. I presume you do know the story of Rigoletto, do you? Yes? So there are main character is of course, the Count, and then Gilda, the lady, and then the father, who is Rigoletto, who wants to keep the daughter away from the ill meaning of the Count. Yes, would you agree that that would be the basic thing? So you have to try to find ways of means that who are the characters here, because he announces them quite clearly. And he joins them together in a piece that is one unit, yes, because the whole opera is a unit, although that takes 3.5 hours, this takes only 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So you have to find ways and means to convey the character of the person that he is trying to announce or show the people. The very beginning is really an introduction. We only eventually get to when that's the only time that we first start the major part of the opera. That should remind you. So the introduction is fine, but it's not what does capriccio mean?
Like
free. Free, yes, but it's not double forte and it's not meant to be. It's just and then this is actually Gilda. If you do it with, as he says, in one pedal, and then the harmony changes in the next one, which is yes, how we can. It's more tragic. So he announces the tragedy of the opera at the beginning. Yes, it's an introduction. So again, it's a paraphrase of a feeling that he creates. Can you try it?
I'm not insisting on you playing what I do, but there are harmonic, sort of melodic changes. You have to melodicize. It's not just octaves. Yes, try. Yes, you can make it more beautiful. See, I've put a little short little pedal so that it is warm, the color. Because I think Liszt sympathizes with the lady more than anything else. Yes, go on. I think that's the opera. This I don't feel comfortable with that. Even it's more freer than if you sing it, you don't go da 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 da. It's not the opera. Yes, so I think that you dramatize it in a different way. This is all soft and introduction, and even when you have this harp all the way, it's not loud. Even here, this is all this, it's like the curtain going up. So you don't want to make it into to me it's a little bit too brash. It doesn't present a sympathetic possibility of the opera, because at the end it's very depressing. But it's an introduction. It's a different point of view. It doesn't mean that I'm right or wrong. It's just different. And then it becomes even more. It's even more tense. Can you go from here? But to me, this is far too dramatic. The drama comes later. Everything is an introduction. If you go overboard, it hasn't got the story. It's like somebody sort of telling the story without an introduction. This is harp. More like more harp-like than anything else. And even here. It's more introducing it, something to come. The way you're playing it is already done. It's an individual thing. It's to me also a little bit, well, it does say piano, but a little too harsh. That's how I would treat it. And then you have the accelerando. You can't accelerando from the fast tempo you take already. Try it again from do, 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 ba, do. It's a question mark, question, you question it. Slow it down. Good. It's different to what I'm just usually used to play it just simply piano, the whole thing just opening up, and never as dramatically as you do. And perhaps the harmonies here are so wonderful that it's rightly so, you brought it out. When you go, you know, and no, this is, have you ever heard Pavarotti, a name Pavarotti? Yes, this is Pavarotti. And this is the orchestra. Take more time. This is the one beautiful solo of the Count as he's wooing or romancing the beautiful lady. If you do it in tempo or you do it without, singers don't take time. So you are imitating a singer here more than anything else, instead of playing it in time. And it's the left hand, the orchestra, that's giving you a problem, because you're doing... The left hand comes too early. Try it. It's a wonderful feeling. Take a breath. Yeah, I'm not a singer. I've accompanied a lot of them, but I don't think anybody would shy away from the most glorious arias in the world and play and hum it. You practically played it so softly that you're humming it. So you have two phrases, and even the second one, because it changes the harmony. Now, the next one is a four-measure phrase. It's one huge phrase. Now, what you did, and suddenly, sorry, I bet all my salary for the future that nobody would sing it like that. They want to sing it out. And then you have to have a different, because the middle section comes. And then it goes da 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 ya. Take time. Ti da 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 dum ti da 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 dee da dee da 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 da. And then this is the Gilda. Da 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 dee da 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 da. That's the lady. She's falling in love. Yes? Well, it's not a question of interpretation as much as cantando, it means to sing. And I can't imagine, maybe I'm overdoing it to show you, but it is one of the moments that every tenor is looking forward to. If he has a chance to sing, they don't want to shy away from singing it. So take your time and try it. If it doesn't, you don't feel it, of course, that's how you feel it. It's I love to meet you when you go to the Metropolitan or the Covent Garden and you hear it once. I love to meet you afterwards, when you hear it live. Because this is one of those moments, this when he sings this, is one of the moments that is so celebrated that people don't stop clapping. Sometimes you have to repeat it again. It's so famous, and so now, so when you have a great singer singing it, they want to hear it again. And the orchestra is waiting, and then he sort of nods to the orchestra, and then we start again. It's so famous that nobody will sing it in a hushed voice. This is the whole opera house is filled with this. Let's go on. Da, 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 from there. Dee, da, 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 dee, da, da. Oh, wait. Dee, da, 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 da. It's very, he says, più appassionato, but the chromatism. A little more feeling there. Don't just rush into the next. Now Pavarotti would wait on that note, the orchestra is waiting, and then he goes, his white handkerchief is there, and he's just fantastic. It's a fantastic show, you know. So go from there. Now, Liszt tried something which is interesting. It's more legato. So it's not staccato. It is staccato, it's portamento. You know what portamento means? It is halfway between staccato and legato. Well, there's the legato marking a staccato. Now, no singer will those leaps are easy for the piano, but the singer cannot do that. Yes? And then this part here, that's the father saying, oh my God, please, no. That's tragedy. He senses the tragedy of what's going to happen already. That's Rigoletto. So you have Gilda, the wonderful young lady who's happy, and then try. You have to portray the different characters. Good. Yes, all of those harmony changes. This part here. Then those are tragic. They're not those chromatic harmonies are meant to be threatening. Not loud, but threatening to say something's happened. Now, he only puts passionata there. And you can say, that's passionate, but it's more darker. Something's going to happen. The father knows something's going to happen. He's preventing it in the opera, yes? So it's not just something, how can I say? But the way you do it is very flippant. She's not. She's a serious girl who's falling in love with the promise, because he's very rich, by the way, you know. So when you're doing this, you have to create a lot of character. da, 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 da. These are, you understand what I mean? They are different. That's not harmony changes. They're more representing a deep depth of feeling of tragedy. Wherever you can start you start from here? So do you see, that's something which I find difficult to understand. So you play beautifully, and da, 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 and then all of a sudden you back off. Da, 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 da. On the contrary, you develop into it, and the harmonies that come da, 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 becomes very emotional, but you become very soft. So you work so beautifully up to how can I, intensity, and then you back off. The whole point is it's one phrase. It's not just, it's like me telling you, what a beautiful day. Do you want to go and play outside? You know, it's just, in the middle of a sentence, you don't change your voice. You can be a little bit softer and everything, but you change completely in my mind, the idea of Yes, but Carl, appassionato doesn't mean a joke. You're making it into a scherzo. A scherzo is a jovial thing. There's no such element here that would warrant you to go this sort of thing. Yum, bum, 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 bum. On the contrary, he wants you to hear the harmonies. He wants you to do the da, 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 da. Again, this is, he says, sempre appassionato and crescendo. So this is tragedy. You're doing the opposite. Now, I'm not saying I'm right, but I know the opera very well. And the tragedy that comes at the end is already inserted here. He has a paraphrase. He's only got a little time to do all these things. So it's not 3 hours. It takes 3 hours. But I would not make it into a scherzo. I really, or furthermore, all these legato markings of Liszt means that he doesn't want to be real staccato, but more da 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 da, not da 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 pa 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 da. It's not that type of how can I say? That's not the implications of the score, in my opinion. Again, you don't have to change now. Think about it. The left hand is definitely harmony, but not the pa, 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 pa. I would not do that. But again, it's only a suggestion, and then you have to sort of make up your own mind. Again, I'm sorry, I stop you because this, for me to hear this, I can't do it. I can't hear it that fast. I can't digest the darkness of it by just playing at that moment. And again, you feel that there is a powerful surge there for a second. You're not taking care of the large scheme of, actually it's 2 bar by 2 bar by 4 bar. That's how it's constructed. And so, again, it's just a suggestion that the tragedy, you bypass the tragedy by your own wishes, which is valid, absolutely, but if you hear the opera, it's not valid. Because you're not representing passion, you're representing a technical feat more than anything else. And you've got plenty of technique, which I congratulate you on. Once more, and then we go on. Good. the father is pleading with his daughter, don't do this. If just by da-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum doesn't work. It is the constancy of the ti-dum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum, tam, and then you have Liszt adding a little thing to fill it up. So this is a conversation between daughter and father. The father is warning her, trying to prevent her. He locks her up, actually, in the opera. He can't. She escapes to be with him. Anyway, so go to the cadenza, please, which you do so well. Yes, be very careful, because again, I'm just saying, this is only mezzo forte, so it's not loud, and there's a crescendo in there. But again, this is not a huge climax. It's Liszt's sort of talking about it, his Liszt's way of saying, "Yeah, this is very sad." You know, that's his own interpretation at that moment. Now we have the count, da, 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 and Gilda answering, "Here I am." And you do this very well. You really need to, again, the character of, and it says, this is tranquil, and you have the, that of course is the main melody, yes? Try it from there. Good. No, be careful, that's a ta-dam. It's a 30-second note. Good. Good. So what is this? When you hear you playing the sorry, very sorry. What's that? Who's that? Do you have any idea? No, that's Gilda pleading with the father. Let me be, let me go. That's what she's doing, pleading. So it's a pleading, it's constantly saying. Okay, because of timing, I think that one of the things that you should dwell more and more on is to describe, of course this is a repetition and leads to the quartet, which you do very well indeed. Do that very well. Can you do it from there? But, sorry Carl, how it's written is not there is actually melody. It's incredibly written, but it's it's again literally a staccato with a slur underneath. So it's legato with a little bit of detachment. And this should be legato again. The touch I'm talking about. It's much. Try it. Yes, very good. I didn't want to stop you. It's very good. This idea, keep closer to the key because you are playing. A lot of accents on the first beat. It should be melodious. But you're playing it very well. This passage, that is nobody. It's just the foreboding of what's going to happen now. And it is continues all the way. All the way, forte. And then you start again. Don't let it go, because the tragedy is there already. Yes? Now, because of timing, what is happening when you hear the second time? What is his? What is that? What's happening there?
The count and the
Yes? No. Yes, you're right. What happened already is that Gilda overheard his father talking to what do you call it? I don't know in Hungarian, but somebody who's hired to kill, yes, overhears, and the plan is that the person who is hiding in the house, and the first person who comes through will be the count, and he has to kill the count. But Gilda overhears this and sacrifices herself, as you know, and enters the house and knows that she will be killed instead of the count. Yes? That's basically it. And this is the finish. This is when the murder has happened. And Rigoletto, with his sack that he does not know who's inside, suddenly hears the count. How that is possible? He's dead. And then he reminds her that his daughter, and again, you have to make it into a tragedy. You have to act it out. And then this is, he remembers the beauty of the girl, and he cries himself, what happened? And then this part here is really when he tears the sack open and finds his own daughter. It's so tragic, you can't believe it. And then he cries out, and then this actually is the curtain closing down into tragedy. You have to act it out, so you can't play it in time. You have to really reenact that. Try it again. And even more. The harmony changes here. Good. Take a breath. Wait. Yes, I like the idea of somebody said do count because it does slow down. If you play it in actual tempo, it's not so sort of powerful if you just rush it through. Well, it's possible. I'm not saying that. You know, the curtain just goes down, and I really feel that. I gave you my feelings about the opera, which I've seen so many times, and I must tell you honestly, between us, I always cry. I do. Just like in Madame Butterfly, I cry, Il Trovatore, I cry, and Tosca. These are the more than human size, these tragedies. And your job in this paraphrase is to introduce everybody into Rigoletto, not the personality, but the tragedy of the thing. Yes? So I'm hoping that you listen to it again, the opera, and I hope that you get the tragic part, because you play terrifically, but it gives the impression of mainly, or for me anyway, of a light-hearted thing. It is not. It is in every shape or form you have to create a feeling of tragedy. Good luck. You play fantastically. But for me, you're giving me the different impression than what I have. It doesn't mean it's good or bad. It may be, if I would be your age, I would look at it that way too. Congratulations. Well done. Okay. Well done. And thank you for staying. I know that I kept you and a quarter more hour. You have only 3/4 of an hour to eat quickly something before the 1 o'clock. You have the juniors playing a recital. Thank you.